Tradition is yet another set of practices, some of which is clearly influenced by religion. Because religion defines a set of do's and don'ts, religion gives you a set of practices. For the followers of that religion or in that community, some of those practices become part of their tradition. But there are two other elements for tradition as well. One is what I consider it to be the macro genetic code of a country, of a nation overall. This loosely called is the culture. As an example, you could say the culture most commonly known within India is it's a family-oriented society. It has evolved over thousands of years to develop that macro genetic code of having family values. And those family values imbibe or enforce a set of practices that feeds into what becomes tradition. So you have religion that feeds a set of practices. You have the macro genetic code that feeds a set of practices. You have theistic beliefs that feed a set of practices. As an example, if you go to a village, you may have deities that are nature entities, like a tree may be worshipped or prayed as a deity. And there are a set of practices on how you would pray to that tree. And that becomes part of the tradition for the folks living in that village. So there's a theistic belief that influences the set of practices. And then there is demographics and the geography and the environmental factors that influence the set of practices. Somebody living in a state that is very cold versus somebody living in a nation or a state that's extremely humid and hot. The set of practices that they follow once when they wake up in the morning till when they would eat is probably different. Set of practices probably thousands of years ago when there was no electricity, and set of practices now when we have electricity is different. All of these feed and they become this box called tradition. You package it, you wrap it, and you call it tradition. Macrogenetic code, religion, theistic beliefs, and demographics. Now, the other aspect that feeds into tradition is also the lineage that you come from. You may come from a family of individuals who have been teachers, or you may come from a family that has very well served the nation by enlisting in the armed forces, where sacrifice, protecting the nation has been a priority. And that's where you give value towards. So that is what we call as lineage. And that lineage, or parampara, as it is called, lineage or parampara, also influences a set of traditional practices within you. So at the end of the day, you as part of a family or you as the head of a family will set a set of traditions and practices for your family that your kids, that the kids or the grandchildren, everybody else may follow or may not choose to follow. But the point here being, a family defines a set of traditional practices, and that set of traditional practices is called sampradaya. Now, for the welfare of a nation state, for the welfare of a community, for the welfare of the society broader, it's best that the set of traditional practices or sampradaya are limited or are rigorously followed within the family. But once you step out of your house, then I think the broader benefit of the nation state has to be looked into, and that is samajam. Sampradaya within the house. Once you step out of the house, it's all about samajam, which means there are practices that others have that probably don't align with you fully. Having said, there are some commonalities there that you can find out. And it's upon us to make sure that we respect those and connect to those so that you continue to have a common macro genetic code of a nation together. And that's how you, again, contribute towards human excellence, or contribute towards cosmic excellence. So that's how tradition has come into play. tradition, along with religion, along with divinity, all go together in that sense.